Hello and welcome to my first tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make first person and third person animations using motion capture footage. The motion capture itself was made using a suit, Xsense suit. The editing was done using the MacCap software. It was made by Animanistan. Basically that's the shelf you see here. To begin with, you need to make an animation template. What it is basically, it's a base that you will use for all of your animations, and it contains the character. The character here specifically is from Unreal Engine 5, and the rig here is made using MacCap. You also want to make a camera for the first person, so you make a camera and you place it inside the head, and what you need to do is to glue the camera to the head. So you press the head control, the camera, you go to the rigging tab, constrain, parent, and now the camera will follow the head. Now the next step, if you want to move the camera and to control it using something other than this control here, you can create a locator. Locator is created here through create and locator, and then you just place it in front of the character, make sure that it's on the middle of the grid, and you press the locator and the head control, go to constrain and aim. And now this will create head constraint control. Right now it's set at the value of 0. When you set it at the value of 1, you can control the head using the locator. And if we see through first person, this is what it looks like. Now the next step is to import your animation. How we do this? Go to this button here, import, and for the sake of this tutorial we're gonna be using Pistol Walk Aim. Now once you import your animation, you want to make sure that the character is in the center of the grid. So in the center we can see it's in the middle of this blue box here, and we will use this control here to make him go in the middle like this. And now the second issue is that the character is actually not going in straight line, most likely, I guess. Yeah, for the most part when you record motion capture footage, it's not gonna be straight. So you always want to make it go in the Z-axis. So in order to do that, we now have positioned him in the middle, but we can't use this control to rotate because it's not gonna be centered. So we create a locator, and we parent constrain that locator to this control that it's moving, and now we can rotate the locator, and basically we can see where the character is straight. And yeah, pretty much that's finished. And now once we have finished that, we need to determine which part of the animation you want to be working with. So how we do this, how I do it most of the time with walk cycles, I just find a position where the leg crosses, and that's right here. So we see it's frame 102, and then we find that same position, which is frame 132, we write it down, and right now you have on your timeline the part of the animation that you will be working on. We can move the character back here. And now what's very important is to make this first frame look good, and then to copy paste it on the last frame. So in order to do this, we first make sure that everything's fine, that the feet are not going through the floor. We need to place the hands on the IK switch like this, so that they are controllable with these controls, and we need to place the gun inside the right hand. How we do this? File, create reference, and then I already made the gun rig, so and then we move the gun, and you will need to pose your character. So this means to make the fingers basically fit the gun. But I already did this before when I worked on the project, and I saved the poses using Studio Library. Basically it's a tool that allows you to save both animation and poses and then reuse them in your scenes later. And right now we can see approximately how it will look like. And this part is already pretty much done. Like, we've placed the gun in the right hand, now we need to do this same thing with the left hand. And now once you position everything, now you need to parent constrain the controls to the pistol. How you do this? Well, first you select the right hand control and then the main gun control. You go to constrain and parent. Now the gun is gonna be controllable by the right hand. But the issue is that the left hand is not connected. So how do we solve this? Well, we will use a tool from the shelf which is called extra arm, and it basically creates another control for the left arm. And when we enable this control, the left arm, it will not use the mocap animation, but rather it will be controlled by the extra arm, which has currently no animation on it, but we will constrain it to the right hand. So we always want to parent to the group, because that way we can still control the main control if we need to. We select the right hand and we parent constrain it to the group of the extra arm, and we enable the extra arm by putting it to the value of 1 here, and then just deleting the animation of the main control. And there we go, we have the gun connected to both hands. We want to position it properly. We can move the shoulder a little bit to the front. We can also move the elbows a little bit. The next step is actually to copy this pose and paste it to the last frame. So we just want to make sure for one last time that it's all good. How do we do this? There's a button, we press copy, we move to the last frame, and right now in the outliner we need to enable this like root FK null control. We need to shift H to make it visible, and then just position it approximately as close as we can to the last frame, and we press paste. Now we've got the first and the last frame the same. How can we make sure that they're the same? We can create the camera. Go to create camera, and then just position it properly and place it in a group, because the cameras, you always want to animate the cameras using the group so that you can still control the camera itself while the group contains all the animation. We just right now want to position the camera to be in line at the last frame, and we can make sure that it's good by going here into this view and then just position it slightly. And yeah, this way we make sure that the first and the last frame are the same. And now we're gonna move on to the legs. What we need to do with legs, there's this procedure I like to follow, which is basically to go into the side X view here, to go there and to basically first use the main leg control to fix the height of the leg. So usually the legs will be going through the floor, so we fix that using the main control. You can hide the joints by going to show and joints, and we just fix the height like this. It's very simple. Sometimes it requires to pay some attention to these details, because it's very picky stuff. Now what I like to do is to use the toe control here for the side X, and to basically make sure that the leg is not sliding in this direction. So I enable the grid, and I just make sure like everything is looking good. We can see here like the first step, and then we move it a bit back, and then we see from the front here to make sure that the foot is not moving. And we do the same in the front Z. We select the heel control, which is this one here, and we make sure that it's not moving in this direction. And that's it for the legs. We have finished with the feet. Now we need to solve this issue with this kind of jagged animation in the knees. We can use this control over here, this one, and we just make it a bit more smooth. We go frame by frame and then smooth it out. In the passing position here, we want to make sure that the leg is kind of going straight, like this. And we just fix the other leg right now. And it's pretty much finished at this point. This is a rather simple example, so it took a little bit less time, but yeah, there are still some things we can do better, like we can animate the knee controls manually. So we just place them on mocap 0 and make sure that they align with the last frame. That's pretty much it. We just remove these things for visual purposes. So the next step is to turn this animation into first-person perspective, and the way we do this is by going into the outliner and using the constraint that I made in the animation template, and putting it to the value of 1 will lock the camera to the locator, and we can move the locator somewhere far in the distance to make sure that the character is looking in a straight line. And if we look at the camera now, we will see like we already got the first person perspective, but as you can tell, it's very shaky. So the way to fix it is by pressing the head control and then disabling the mocap and disabling the follow functionality. And if you look now, we can see from the environment that the head is stable, but the arms are still shaky. In order to fix this, we will use an extra arm for the right hand. So select the right hand, press extra arm, go to the last frame, press extra arm. We will just turn the extra arm to the value of 1 and delete the animation at the beginning and in the end. So now, as you can see, it does not look good at all. Simple fix. We just press the control, double click on the timeline, right click, tangents, linear. There we go. You already have a much more stable arm area. And when we look at the first person camera, it's still shaking, but that's due to the character still going up and down with his spine. So now we need to disable the spine. How it is done? It's basically just these 3 controls here, and we need to put them to mocap 0. In order to do that, since when you practically remove the animation, they will shift into another position, and we don't really want that to happen. So what I do is take the control, copy paste it. You can't really see that I copy pasted, but I press Ctrl D, and right now the control is below these controls, and it's located here in the hierarchy, which is not good because it's gonna be moving with the whole body. So by pressing Shift P, I'm getting it out of the hierarchy here, and right now it's staying in one place. Now what we want to do is press the actual control, go back to the first frame and disable the mocap. Right now select the control we copy pasted, select the actual control, constrain, parent, and you will leave this box unticked. So we press add and it will stick to the position. Now by pressing F, it will locate it here, and under this file that it located, we press plus and we can find it at the bottom here. This is the constraint that we just made here, and we need to get it out of the hierarchy by pressing Shift P. and then we place a frame on the control, on the main control that we want to remove the animation from. We place the frame, and then we just delete the copy pasted control, which also deletes the constraint, and right now we've got the main control motion capture 0, so there's no animation there. We're good to go. Practically I just need to delete the keyframes in the middle and repeat this step at the end, and do the same thing with these two controls, and you will see the result in the end. And as we can see, at the end of this process you get a stable body, and right now the animation is fluid. It's still not perfectly in the place, like this is supposed to be in one place, the gun, so we're just gonna copy paste the pose from the beginning to the end. The way I do this, I delete the root FK null from previous copy paste, and I just go again copy, move to the end, reveal the FK null, move it in the position, and press paste. So right now it should be all very smooth. Here comes the fun part. Right now we need to pose the gun in the frame, and we do this by pressing this button here. This allows us to see what area of screen are we working with, and as far as I can see we just need to move this in closer and to the right. So now once we are here, we can select the control of the right hand. I already did some calculations on how it would look like, how I need to position the frames in order for this to look good, so let's try it out. In this part of the process, what I'm trying to do is to make the gun not move around way too much, and I do this by enabling the grid and then just going 2 frames in advance and making the gun align with the grid so that it doesn't sway around. And as you can see, that's pretty much it for this part. We already created the first person animation. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.